All right, sassy gamers, this is Phoenix Nova, and I'm behind the camera here at DreamHack 2023, and I'm with Anna of Deev Interactive.
That is true.
She's been showing off a game that they've been working on called Lightbreak. So, Anna, tell us a little bit about Lightbreak.
So Lightbreak is a Zen game, which is basically just a chill puzzle game. And it's a music-based Zen game. So what you're doing and what you see happening right here is he is moving around that little tuning lever so that he can match the pitch of an audio. Once he does that successfully, the tuning level will disappear. Oh, perfect timing. Awesome. And then you drag around the different notes, which are visually represented by these cubes, to get them into the correct order. It's a little bit hard to hear right now, better with headphones, but it gives you the audio.
Yeah, I would like to say I just played this, and I'm no music expert by far. I cannot hold a tune or sing, but I was clearly able to differentiate the different tones on both the puzzle elements here,
Yeah.
and able to pull around the cubes. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. This is very clearly a sound-based puzzle.
That is true.
How's that going to work for people that are hard of hearing?
Yeah, so, oh shoot, well, it's all loading in right now. We have visual cues, and that is something new that we're showing for the first time at DreamHack. I think that it's really successful. Honestly, we're seeing that it's a little bit too successful. So we might redo the visual cues in a slightly different way to make it more puzzly for hard of hearing, or just if you're bad at pitch matching, because not everybody's good at that, and that's okay. So we want Lightbreak to be accessible for everybody.
True. And you put a lot of work, because you say, like you said, not everybody's music people, or
Yeah.
like I'm not. And it sounds like you put a lot of work into this to try to help those that aren't, even just on the sound side.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we've had teachers, music teachers, say that this would be something awesome to bring to their students to get them to be able to recognize pitch, because you hear up and down on the frequency of the pitches. So being able to get better at that as you go, and it's again, it's a chill puzzle game. So there's nothing punishing you if you do the wrong thing. So being able to learn how to do that and perfect doing that in this like chill, fun environment where you get a little bit of story after each puzzle, really good way to learn.
Now I used mouse and keyboard. My understanding is that you're going to have you're going to have controller support as well.
Yes, we will. Yeah.
And I also we saw a little bit about a little story that's actually occurring in between here.
Yeah.
So the controller support, how does it work for the story portions?
Same thing. You mouse around. So if you saw with the story, it's kind of like point and click adventure. You click things to unravel more bits about the story, and you're following the story that is told by a 12-year-old girl, Ava, the protagonist. So it's from her perspective. So you're getting kind of what she sees and hears. Wait, what was the question? I just started getting excited about the story. What was the question?
No, there's both. I am excited that you're talking about the story. Go on.
A little bit more about Lightbreak, and what gets me very excited about it is as you learn more about the story, you learn what you're doing and why. So what you're doing is you're playing as Ava. She's a 12-year-old girl who goes out on an adventure to try to figure out what is going on with her family's past and kind of the sad parts of her family's past, because she feels she's old enough to know, but she very quickly loses her voice to the antagonist in the story. So what you're doing is you're tuning a musical instrument that is a tool created from rebellion so that people can communicate even with this horrible dictator who's taking away people's voice, people's sight. So you're playing as Ava, telling her mom about her travels after she gets back.
That is actually fascinating. I love it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a little bit of story from the small amount I played, but I did not know those details. That's very cool. Now, obviously, I started with a tutorial. I went through, the first couple sets of puzzles. What mechanics are you using, or how are you ramping the difficulty as this goes along to keep it challenging?
Yeah, so currently, I think that we're adding more notes to the match phase of the puzzle, really, is what we're doing. Currently, I think that the most that we have is 5, because that's kind of where it gets very challenging. We might look into doing more for like 1 or 2 puzzles, but really just adding more notes, because again, it's a puzzle game and it should get a little bit more difficult, but also you're learning as you go. And it's supposed to be kind of meditative. It's supposed to be chill. So we don't want people to want to hurt their brains.
And that's ramping the difficulty with the puzzle blocks, like you said, going up to about 5. Also, tell us a little bit about the tuning fork. I know that can be intimidating for a lot of people when they just have this fork that can just freely move around.
Yeah, so our programmer actually made the fork that is, he made it very scalable. So there's 2 things that we can adjust with it. One thing that we can adjust is the amount of clicks in which it will snap to. So you go from, in this little tutorial that we're showing off at DreamHack, you go from 7 to 15 clicks. So that's just shortening your percentage of success, even if accidental. But then we also have another variable that we can manipulate, which is the difference in pitch in between those clicks. So if you have 25 clicks to choose from and there's only a very slight difference in between those pitches, it will get a lot harder through that.
That makes sense. Okay, so my understanding is that this is going to release on Steam, so PC. Is it going to release on any other platforms in the future?
Xbox? Xbox, yes, Xbox as well.
Okay. And what's the time frame that we're looking at for release, approximately?
Time frame? 5 months? Okay, I said 4 or 5 months though.
5 months.
Ish,
Oh,
yeah.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. So Anna, how can people find out more? Where can they find Lightbreak?
You can Google Lightbreak. I don't know how we got our search engine optimization to be so good, but you can Google Lightbreak and find us. You can find our Steam, you can find our Kickstarter, wishlist us on Steam. You can just Google Lightbreak, surprisingly. Very excited about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Anna.
Yeah, thank you.
And you have a wonderful rest of your DreamHack.
You as well.